Okay, hello everyone. This is Mark, and you're listening to the Ballpark Hunter podcast. I am the regional correspondent for Stadium Journey, the industry's leader in sports travel. So check us out at stadiumjourney.com. My guest tonight is the owner and janitor of Stadium Mustard, Bill Lockwood, and we're going to talk about mustard. So if you're a ketchup kind of person, you may want to turn this off. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Mark. Appreciate the time.
All right, so Stadium Mustard. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's sort of like when you go to Cleveland, this is their kind of brand of mustard. I used to always call it Cleveland style mustard. There's a bottle of it right there. And kind of like in Paris, where Dijon mustard comes from Dijon, the Stadium Mustard comes from the Cleveland area. So tell us a little bit about the history. We know that you just bought the company recently, but
Sure.
T-
So,
tell, tell, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no. So, yeah, thanks again for the time. And as you mentioned, I wish I could lay claim to being the creator of Stadium Mustard, but that honor goes to a gentleman named David Dwoskin, who David passed away in 2019. I had known him since about 2003. So, if you were to go to our website, we kind of talk about the history of what I refer to as a brown mustard in Cleveland. It's kind of a Northeast Ohio thing. And it does date back to the 1920s. It was at League Park, which is the predecessor to Municipal Stadium. And as we noted on our website, there's an old company, a food distribution company called Bertman Food Products, and they distributed brown mustard to League Park. They distributed a lot of other things. They're an institutional kind of food service distributor. And they were the ones that brought this brown mustard to League Park. And then in the early 40s, I believe, when the concessionaire at the newly constructed Municipal Stadium, a gentleman named L.V. Freelander, he brought that brown mustard over to Municipal Stadium. And over the years, it just became one of these things where it became that mustard, that brown mustard, that Cleveland brown mustard that you get at the stadium, that Cleveland Stadium brown mustard. Enter David Dwoskin, who in 1954 went to his first then Indians game at Municipal Stadium. And as you would hear him tell it, had an out-of-body experience, not so much with the bun or the hot dog, but the mustard. And this was in 1954, and he always just, it spoke to him back when he was a teenager.
I can believe that.
Yeah, 1969. David he's in his, I believe, early mid-20s, and he approaches the food service distribution company, Bertman, and said, "Hey, look, I know you guys sell this to the vendors at Municipal. I'd like to take this and get it out of just Municipal Stadium. It's too good for just Municipal Stadium to enjoy." And they struck up a contract where David he had his own company. He was never an employee of Bertman Food. That's a misconceptions out there. David had his own company, Davis Food Products, and entered into an agreement with Bertman, whereas David would submit purchase orders for the brown mustard through the Bertman organization. At the time, Bertman was using, goes back, the 50s, if not before, they were using, probably before, they were using a food service, a contract manufacturer that made the brown mustard. And David, in this contract, laid claim, he trademarked and had rights to the name The Authentic Stadium Mustard. So the trademark for The Authentic Stadium Mustard dates back to 1969. So what I like to say is, since the 1920s, you've had brown mustard in Cleveland, Ohio. It was really in 1969 where David Dwoskin gave this mustard its own brand identity, and the iconic red label, the iconic font, and obviously the iconic name.
And that font hasn't changed since '69.
It has not. No,
okay.
I'll say this: like, we all age gracefully with time, but it's if you were to go back to a glass jar from like the early 1970s, I think the untrained eye would not detect a difference. It's the same kind of squirrely font.
And
sort.
that mustard is probably still good. I've always heard that mustard doesn't expire. Is that true?
Interestingly, I mean, as someone that's in the industry, I'm not going to because I could see a class action lawsuit. But I can
Yes.
say, we day cut our with a Best Buy 18 months from production. It has vinegar. A lot of people say, hey, look, vinegar is a natural preservative. It's kind of similar to sugar. I think a lot of foods have Best Buy dates, but you look at it, it's like, well, what's it going to do to me? It's not like
Yeah.
we're making chicken livers or pig knuckles or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, no, it's we do have an official Best Buy date on it, but I know that nothing's going to happen.
Well, I mean, let's face it. You could put the stadium mustard on so many things. You're gonna
Yeah,
not just keep it in your cupboard, and
yeah,
But yeah, I've heard that mustard does expire. But I do have a bottle. I had a bottle of actually Burtman's mustard with the original Cleveland Indians Chief Wahoo. That's still in my
yeah, yeah.
cupboard. That I would not eat that. That doesn't look good.
Well, you're kind of dating it right there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's a little bit old. I happen to have a
yeah,
mustard. I knew they were getting rid of changing the logo, so
yeah,
maybe I could sell that on eBay for thousands of dollars one day.
yeah, yeah. It's like the Honus Wagner card.
Oh, this
Not
Wagner, but
exactly, but
all
similar
right.
type.
So okay, so yeah, I knew there was a connection between Burtman's and the stadium mustard. So kind of like with ranch dressing, it was only available at Hidden Valley Ranch, and then somebody said, "Hey, let's prepackage this and sell it to the rest of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
country."
again, like what I think the distinction is that Mr. Dwoskin, he said this is a good thing, and he wanted
Yeah.
to get it out there, and so he was the one that kind of gave it its initial brand identity and really tried to get it out of just Municipal Stadium. And so, per the agreement, he was able to do retail, wholesale retail distribution and to other stadiums outside of the Cleveland market. And Yeah, so that's it. At some point, Bertman's kind of moved away from the contract manufacturer that they had, and um, uh, Stadium is still with the original contract manufacturer. And like a lot of this history, again, I first met Mr. Dwoskin back in 2003. But a lot of the history, what I tell true Clevelanders and true Cleveland sports fans is go to Amazon and buy yourself a copy of Dan Coughlin's book, Let's Have Another. And there's a full chapter dedicated to the kind of the interplay between the two brands.
Okay.
So what I'm sharing with you, and a lot of that is Mr. Coughlin. He's a famed Cleveland sports reporter. He's very good with his sourcing, and it's so that's kind of the background there.
Yeah. Okay. So now Stadium Mustard, celebrating 55 years
55 years, yeah,
of
yeah,
existence. That's
yeah.
that's you know think about it. They were my favorite team's the New York Jets, and
Okay,
we've been waiting 55 years for a Super Bowl championship. So
yeah.
it's
So,
yeah, it's then I'm a Mets fan too. So 1969 was a good year.
I recall I wasn't alive, but I know all
Yeah.
about that. The Miracle Max of '69.
Yeah,
So
well,
sure.
yeah, I wasn't alive yet, but 1969 is always that magical year for a
Yeah,
lot of things. And then, first email was sent in 1969, Man on the Moon, Woodstock, the Stonewall Uprising, and
yeah,
Stadium Mustard. You're up there with
yeah.
all these magical events.
Oh
So,
yeah,
all right, so Stadium Mustard, I have seen it outside of Cleveland,
yeah.
but and most recent, I live in Indianapolis. I know the Indians, Victory Field had it for a few years.
Okay.
Were you with the company at the time, or was that a
So
little before
yeah,
you?
so again, I first in 2003, I approached Mr. Dwoskin about possibly acquiring the company, and he never really was interested. He really
Okay.
it was his thing, and he loved what he did, and he wanted to stick to it. And I tried not to be a pest, but also in an
Yeah.
attempt to stay top of mind every 12 to 18 months. I would just drop him an email or a voicemail, and that went on for about 15 plus years.
Yep.
Um, and Sadly, one day in 2019, I received an email from his son,
Mhm.
Daryl, who I'd never met. And Daryl said, "Not sure if you've heard, but my dad passed away, and he asked me to hopefully sell the company to you." And
Wow.
so that
Got
that
that.
in October of 2019, I guess you could say it was about a 15, 16-year courtship. But in 2019, October of 2019 is when I formally acquired the Stadium Mustard brand, all its assets and such. So, so as far as the Indians, I don't recall. One of the interesting things is people ask you, where are you? And a
Yeah.
lot of times say, I don't know, because like once it goes to like a Cisco or a Gordon Food Service,
Oh, there you go.
you know, you hope they do their job and they get it to as many places as possible. You know, so as far as Indianapolis, I can't speak to that. One thing I can speak to is places that I know by, you know, shipping directly. You know, we are at First Energy with the Browns. We're with the minor league teams for the Guardians, Columbus and Akron. And for the past several years, we've been, and I think this is where you saw us, Mark. We've been sponsoring the Northwoods League, and I
Yes.
checked out the website, and I see you guys have. I think you've probably hit every single one of those ballparks.
Yes, I believe you. So
Yeah,
that was a team effort, because there's
yeah.
some of
Well,
those stadiums.
so I think they're increasing. I know they added a softball league this past year, but there's about, you know, for those that are listening to this podcast and aren't aware, the Northwoods League is a roughly a 30-team summer collegiate baseball league in the Upper Midwest. Really, I think the further south it goes is Kokomo, Indiana.
Kokomo. Yeah.
Goes up. I don't know if it's active, right? I think it is. The Thunder Bay Railcats
The Border Cats.
Border Cats, excuse me, yeah, in Canada.
And
About 5 teams in Michigan, 10 teams, I think, in Wisconsin, another 10 teams in Minnesota,
in the
and some practice
Dakotas, yeah.
dogs in the Dakotas and in Illinois.
Yeah,
So that's been a great relationship. They're a really fun group to work with. We have you know, they again, it's about kind of getting the name, getting the awesome product out there and letting the fans really enjoy it in a ballpark setting. As I tell people, like, you know, my lifelong goal, if I could have it be on my gravestone, to have it say that Bill took Stadium Mustard and turned it into the Cracker Jack of condiments. You know, that's what I'd love to do, is just make sure that when you go to that ballpark, you go to that stadium, that it's you know, something you see and you have this kind of unique association with it and the ballpark environment. And then, oh, by the way, if you want to bring the ballpark to your backyard barbecue or to your weekend tailgate, wherever that is, that's what these little guys are for. And you know, stop by. Well, we're on Amazon, we're on our website, we're also
yeah.
at a lot of retailers. Yeah.
Yeah, I see you guys available in a lot of places around Indianapolis, not maybe a Kroger, which would be, or Walmart, but
Yeah, and so again, like, you know, for someone that's about 5 years into this, there's a lot of things that I learn every day, and that is, again, going back to the distributor comment. I know certain distributors, food service or food retail distributors we go to, and every now and then we turn up at a place that I had no idea, and it's just great. You know, there's certain places, obviously in Northeast Ohio, that I know that we're at. You know, the Heinens, the Krogers, Giant Eagles, Marks. We were picked up chain wide by Meyer out of Michigan. And one of the things I wanted to say is, like, some of the most interesting places that we are places that a lot of times it's Clevelanders that kind of move away, and they want to bring a part of Cleveland to their corner of the world. So, for example, there's this happened back in 2020. There was a deli started down outside of Baltimore by two Clevelanders whose their dads, who had both passed away, but their dads owned a deli outside of Cleveland, and they started this deli called Mikey and Mel's. I think, yeah, it's just outside of Baltimore, and they buy direct from us, and we're on all their sandwiches there. There's a sub shop in San Francisco
okay,
called well, there's one in Denver called Subculture. The Deli Board in San Francisco. These are places where it's got some Cleveland connection, and they bring Stadium Mustard to their sandwiches at these different places across the country, which is just really neat to see that it's got that sort of reach.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. If you grew up in Cleveland, this is what you grew up with, and you when you move away, you say, "Hey, where's this mustard? Where's Stadium Mustard?" And you
Well,
realize you can't find it. Now
yeah,
you order it on Amazon, which thankfully it's easy to do these days.
it's very interesting because the number of people that grow up in Cleveland and just kind of assume it's just like, yeah, it's a universal thing, and then they move away. They're like, wait a second, oh wait, this is something that's unique to Cleveland and something that I need to carry the Cleveland torch by getting it
Yeah.
out there. not to shift gears on you, but like one of the
No,
things that we
go.
have been doing along those lines is with the Cleveland Browns. They have I don't know if every NFL team does this, or maybe just not as well as the Browns. But the Browns have a thing called the Cleveland Browns backers, and
That's right.
these are chapters that are worldwide. And I want to say there's around 150, maybe pushing 200 of them. And there's a lot of them in Ohio, but there's a lot of them nationwide.
Yeah,
And
there's
there's a
one
lot of
here in
them
Indianapolis. I know that for a
okay,
fact. I have a friend who, when the Browns made the playoffs last year, a friend of a friend showed up and she was decked out in her Browns gear, and she's like, "Yeah, we're going to the bar to watch
yeah.
the Browns." I don't know where it was, but
So we've been for the past couple of years we've been doing with the Browns backers. We'll send them these complimentary kind of Sunday party packs, which that lasts in the season, but it's basically a kit for their watch parties,
hmm,
where we send them mustard and we send them some of these and we send them t-shirt stickers as well.
cool.
Each Browns chapter, I think, to be officially recognized by the Cleveland Browns, has to have a charity, a local charity that they sponsor. And so they go to these watch parties to obviously watch the game and have a good time, but they also do raffles and auctions and stuff like that. And they raise money for the whatever charity that they're sponsoring. And so this has been a really nice kind of community outreach thing for us. The fans love it, especially the ones that are not in Ohio, the chapters that are not in Ohio. I was in I was in London 2 years ago for a trade show, and I met the head of the Great British Bulldogs Browns backers chapter, and I
Interesting.
delivered her a couple cases. So if you're ever in London on a Sunday, go to the Hippodrome down by Trafalgar Square because that's where they watch the games. And then last season, we received an inquiry from the chapter president from the Perth, Australia Browns backers,
Cool.
and that was one where we had to carve out some special space on the marketing budget for them, but we shipped
Yeah.
them down some stuff, and then they were featured on I think it was WKYC News. They did a Zoom call with one of their kind of newscasters, and we got a little shout out from down under, which was really neat.
It,
So
yeah, that's kind of pricey to send a case down to Australia, I would assume.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not cheap.
Yeah, because I've tried to order. There's a team down there called the Sydney Blue Sox, and I've tried to get a cap from them,
Yeah.
and it's almost the cap might be $30, but then the shipping and handling is about 50.
Yeah, yeah, you're directionally right there. It was again, in the spirit of building the brand and building a great network of fans and brand ambassadors.
Yeah,
I don't want to think about it in terms of dollars and cents, but it was a great spend, especially when I
yeah,
got to
no,
see this
no,
on
no, no,
WKYC. So
yeah. Sometimes I'm with you there when I have a guy coming over to fix something. I'm like, yeah, I guess I should do this. I don't feel like spending the money on it, but
yeah,
oh my goodness. So, so I mean that's these are great stories because you're right. You have that connection with all the Cleveland pro teams. If the Guardians had watch parties, but obviously it's going to be more popular with the Browns. In the Cleveland market itself, with stadium mustard, is this the number one mustard that sells? Does it outsell French's? Does it outsell?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay,
I think this is if like any shopper, you go to the shelf, and if look, it's one of these things. It's kind of like it's a little luxury, right? You could always buy a bottle of French's for a $1.50.
yeah, a little
And you
cheaper.
could buy Stadium for $3 to $4. We're just like, okay, well, that's twice as expensive. But you know what? It's also a little luxury. It's a $1.50 extra for something that's unique and special, right?
Hmm.
And then hashtag better than yellow, I guess is what I like to say. But yeah, we the big companies pay for what is called IRI or Nielsen data, which is all the when you scan stuff out, someone's always collected that information. I can't imagine we're number one,
Okay,
but I'm sure we're a good ways up on page number one for sure. Yeah,
yeah. Well, because I'm just thinking, like, because I know in Philadelphia that Yingling Lager was,
yeah,
used to outsell Budweiser
yeah,
at one point. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think a lot of things outsell Budweiser now. And I think a lot of folks are like, really, this little beer from Pottsville is
Yeah,
outselling the big boy. So I was
yeah.
just kind of curious about stadium mustard
Yeah, no, so I can tell you this, like our shelf presence, the stores that we're in, it's just great to be a fixture
yeah.
on those shelves. One of the things we did do is we have a display shipper, which you walk the aisles and you see those cardboard stands with products in it. We have one of those that we sell to a couple of the retailers,
Mhm.
and it's just a good way to get it off the shelf with all the other mustards. And you can always some people put the stadium mustard display shipper right there in the condiment aisle. Other people put it over by the buns or by the brats and the hot dogs, and it's just good for impulse buys. So
Yeah, because I mean, I think like, when you think about stadium mustard, you think about Cleveland. I would always call it Cleveland mustard. I was like, oh, you
yeah,
got to try this mustard from Cleveland. And, to me, I know you say it's a brown mustard, but it's similar to a Dusseldorf style mustard in
yeah,
some
for sure.
ways.
Yeah,
And
it's
it,
a lot of times people say, oh, it's got that Dijon. I
nah,
always kind of describe it as no, it's more of a Dusseldorf or
yes,
a brown deli mustard. A lot of times when people try it for the first time, they're like, well, how spicy is it? And like
no,
I think we've all had really spicy mustard, and it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, you have to try it. I'll promise you this: it's not too spicy.
no, I don't
You
think
just
so
have
at
to
all.
try to really understand the balance between spice and smooth because it really does thread the needle, I think,
Yeah,
nicely.
I think it's more tangy than anything. It definitely
Yeah, I'd
has
agree with that. I'd
a
agree
little
with that.
bit of a tang. And
Yeah.
I think I did talk to somebody from Bertman's years ago for an article for Stadium Journey, and what he was telling me about when the mustard was made for League Park, that most ballparks had a local mustard made for them. So
Okay.
I don't know if Philadelphia or Boston or New York, did they have something similar? And then for some reason in Cleveland it just stayed. It just was
Yeah. Yeah.
more beloved. So it's fascinating to think from that historic part. So, one question about the North Woods League, is that something you created to have their mustard, or how
Yeah,
did that?
I reached out and put a call into, I guess, the right person. And
Okay,
again, it's one of the things that's great about them is I think we're just like we're just nice partners. This isn't like what I always say is like no one's going to mistake a Northwoods League ballpark for Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field or anything like that. But you know what? There's 30 of them scattered throughout the upper Midwest, and they're kind of central homes to all these communities. So again, like as far as like nice dance partners, they've just been great to work with. It was just really a quick phone call, and got to know them over the phone, and just wanted to come up with something that worked for everyone involved. And for me, one of the main things was just get it out there, let the fans try it, let them learn to love it, and you know,
and
yeah.
and have you got any feedback from your partnership with them? From
Um, well, again, like the person I work with, yeah, I think we work directly with all the different teams to get the product to them, and it's just we receive regularly good feedback, and they're reordering, and we don't solicit explicitly surveys or anything, but we do get the unsolicited anecdote about how it has been well received by various customers. We're trying to up our social media game to make sure that we're
yeah,
people to give us the shout outs if they can. But yeah, no, it's been going well. So
yeah,
we
that
enjoy
that
working with
that's
them very
that's
much.
always fun. Now you make stadium mustard. Anything else you make that we should be aware of, or is it just
Well, so Stadium Mustard is it's owned by my company is called Otis Foods.
Otis
And
Foods?
we have a couple other uh, um, non mustard, non ballpark, small food brands, but they're all the same in the sense that they all have brand stories that are relatively iconic, and they're all over 50 years old. Totally unrelated. There's a small popcorn company that was started in the southern fields of Illinois, and there's another thing called Aspen Mulling Spices.
Okay.
If you know what mulled cider is or mulled wine, it's got a takes a beverage and kind of makes it smell like cinnamon and cloves in fall and autumn and Christmas and all that. And that was a company that was started in the 1970 in Aspen, Colorado. Yeah, so it's a three kind of regional great little brands and
Okay.
stadium. I do say this, and uh, I don't know who I'm looking at. I'll say this. I always say it's like do you have a favorite child? And you say, I love my kids all the same, just
Yeah.
differently. Um, and this one, I think Stadium for sure. It's the one that's it's just been the one that's been nearest and dearest to my heart for
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
20
no,
years. So at least
no,
20 years. So
no, I can believe that. I can believe
and
that.
as I tell every chance I get, I'm thrilled. I'm honored actually to have the opportunity to carry the torch of what Mr. Dwoskin started back in 1969. It's just
Well,
feel very fortunate.
I mean, and that's the thing, that's what you think about. He started this in 1969, and after his death, he has somebody carrying it, and you hope,
Yeah.
50 years from now, it's still
Yeah.
available at a ballpark.
Yep. That's it.
That's
That's the goal.
that's what you go. So in Cleveland, except for Progressive Field, you're
Correct.
okay.
Uh, I don't think we're at whatever they're calling. Yeah, it's Rocket Mortgage. So
Rocket Mortgage.
yeah, yeah. In Cleveland, it's basically First Energy, Rubber Ducks, Clippers down in Columbus, Ohio Stadium for the Buckeyes,
Okay,
and
okay.
then
The captains, Lake Count. You said the Lake Camp.
I believe so. I believe so. That's one where they might get that. They might get it through a distributor. I
Okay,
know the Erie Seawolves, they buy direct
okay.
from
I know
us.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Because like I said, if I find Stadium Mustard at a ballpark, that's a huge
well,
that
and
that's a huge fine. Like, but you're saying like in order for your mustard to be at that ballpark, the team would have to contact you. Like, let's say the Trenton Thunder wanted in New Jersey wanted your mustard.
well, if anyone wants our mustard, we would gladly sell it to them. It's like one of
Okay,
these things. It's like gotta make sure we're carving out the time to open up new doors and make new relationships. But yeah, I mean, what I'd say is we have the infrastructure in place to ship coast to coast.
okay.
So we would love to do that for sure.
And then would you want to be the mustard of another summer collegiate league, or is that your contract just stipulates Northwest League,
No,
Northwoods,
it's
Northwoods?
something I would certainly would love to consider. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because
yeah.
I know the Great Lakes League is out there. That's a summer
Okay.
collegiate league,
Okay.
but it's a much smaller scale. Or
Yeah.
Prospect League, that's another one. Be great
Okay.
to
It's
see your.
what I'll tell you this. Like I love baseball.
I muted you by mistake.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. You said you love baseball.
I love baseball, but it's been an eye opener over the past few years on the number of these. Everyone thinks like major leagues, triple A,
Oh,
double A,
you're
single A,
telling me you're right.
and the number of other leagues that are out there. It's remarkable.
Yeah,
It really makes you realize how important baseball is to the fabric of the United States. It's so pervasive. So
yeah, no, you're and you look at the Northwoods League is sort of one of the upper echelons of summer collegiate, whereas something like the Great Leagues, much love to the Great Leagues, but their stadiums are about 500 seats, and
yeah,
sometimes they have teams coming and going, and
yeah,
they could have a team playing at a city park, whereas the Northwoods League teams have new stadiums or old minor
yeah.
league stadiums that have been renovated. I've been to quite a few of them, and there's you really can get a history lesson in.
So what's your favorite Northwoods League stadium, and what's your favorite stadium overall?
Okay, Northwoods League Stadium. I really like Duluth a lot up in
Okay.
Minnesota.
The Huskies.
It's brick. The exterior of it is I think when they built the stadium in the 1940s, they dug up the road to repave it, and then the old brick is what they put on
Oh, neat.
the stadium, and I think it's had some renovations since then, but it's just it looks the same as it did years ago. There's a video out there from 1970 that shows the stadium, and it's like, man, that thing hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And Wausau is another old ballpark that was renovated. That's in the middle of a residential area.
Yeah.
That's a fun little
The
stadium,
Woodchucks.
and
Yeah.
Woodchucks, and of course Madison Mallards.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite. Madison is just a good time. They're the original Savannah Bananas. They were the
Yeah.
ones who said, "Let's make baseball fun. Let's do some weird, crazy things." All you can eat, all you can drink sections, and
Yeah.
all this. Yes, I would say Madison.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, Madison. Favorite ballpark: Pittsburgh, San Francisco. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, a little cheaper. You can enjoy the
Yeah.
game with your family there. San Francisco, a little more pricey. I need to get back out to Pittsburgh. I had plans to do that this summer. but some things happen around here that I couldn't make it out there. But uh, Pittsburgh would be on my list, and
Yeah.
be because you could afford to go there. Some of these ballparks you can't go. That's why the summer collegiate leagues are so much fun. You could afford to go to a game. You can go to Thirsty Thursdays.
Yeah.
It's a great time. So it's good to see your mustard out there, and Kokomo is not too far from me. So
So yeah, I was going to mention, I think that's how we connected because
yeah,
you posted on Twitter, and I assume
yeah,
you're at the Jackrabbits game.
yes, yeah,
And that you were kind enough to give us a shout out on social media, and we were, kind enough to respond, and then now here we are. So thank you very
yeah.
much
Well,
for
I
connecting
try
with
to
me.
like listen. I try to give shout outs to people. It's great when the companies write back to you and
Yeah.
or like appreciative of it, because there's been a few times I'm like, oh yeah, look what I found here, and I hear crickets. But like you said, you're a small company, so maybe
And just
that's
just for the listeners out there, I always say I'm the owner and the janitor, just
yeah,
as a sign of, we're a family run operation, but yeah, I I I I do vacuum every now and then, but I do other
yeah.
things too.
Yeah,
So
I know. Hey, when you own your own company, you got to wear many hats. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
you might be the mascot. I mean, one day where you're out there with a giant stadium mustard bottle, and
I have a 20-year-old son that might be good at that.
there
So we'll
you
see.
go. There you go. You can help out the company. All right. So before I let you go, Bill, what's the future looking like? What are you hoping to do with Stadium Mustard? Are you just kind of happy where you are?
No,
Keep
I,
it.
well, I, so I, every day, take one day at a time, but again, I'll just go back to what I said earlier. If my tombstone would read, he turned Stadium Mustard into the Cracker Jack economists, that's success for me. That's what I'd love to do. I really believe Cleveland should be very proud of what they have, but it's also something that they should be proud to share it with the world. And it's something I'd love to try to facilitate. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the goal. But I'll say, not to get too much of the weeds, but it's the Northwoods League. The nice thing about them, to kind of bring it full circle, is that they're tangential to Ohio, but it's greenfield. It's new market. So it's kind of nice, kind of starting growing from Ohio out, and eventually we'll conquer the world. So
All
that's
right.
kind of the goal.
And
So
then besides a hot dog, what's the best? What do you like to use Stadium Mustard on?
I prefer brats. That's
Yeah. Okay.
if I go that way, it's brats over hot dogs. But one of the things I like to do is just throwing it in anything you can, where you can swap it out with anything, or you can
Mhm.
swap it out with any type of mustard. Like throw it in a salad dressing. There's like certain things. I'm trying to think what I do. Oh, I put let's make a potato salad over the summer and
There you go. Deviled
just put a
eggs.
little bit in there just to but I'd say I guess my go-to 4th of July, Labor Day meal is the brat.
Yeah.
And so that's what I put it on.
Well,
I put it on a pulled pork sandwich 2 days ago.
there
So
you go. Yeah, ham sandwich, a hard, soft pretzel is
yep.
a warm pretzel. That's even better. I know you said Meyer. I know they sell one of my favorite hot dogs, Krogel from Detroit,
Okay.
and it's a natural casing hot dog. And
Yeah.
boy, do those two make a great combination. So
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry thinking about it right now. So
Well, it's dinner time, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
dinner
So it's
time.
good.
It's
So
dinner time in the East Coast. So, well, I think that's a good way to wrap it. Bill, thank you for coming on the show. And, you can
really,
also get some merchandise as well from your website.
yeah. So stadiummustard.com is where you can get mustard, obviously. We also have t-shirts, both red and gray. Hopefully going to come out with another flavor of t-shirts soon. Stickers. What else? For those that are, if you're at some of the tailgates in size, we do offer the 105-ounce jugs with pumps
Ooh,
that you see at the ballparks and First Energy. Oh, and then the perfect holiday gift, we do gift boxes, which is a nice kind of branded cardboard box with one of these T-shirts, gray or red, flanked by 2 bottles of Stadium. It makes the perfect Father's Day gift, Mother's Day gift, birthday present. So, yeah, that's where you could find us, and yeah, we're on social media as well. And I'm trying to think, there was something I was going to say, but it escapes me. Yeah. Oh, the one thing I was going to say is we do on social media. We've been doing it for the past for most of 2024. We do free T-shirt Friday,
no,
which is the
cool.
first Friday of each month, where we just ask that you yeah, we'll announce it and pick your platform, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter/X. And we just ask that you give us a like, you give us a retweet. No expectations for a follow, but we would certainly love that.
Mhm.
And obviously, if you ever have post a picture of you putting Stadium to use at some place around the world, that always is a great way to get our attention because
Yeah, okay.
we love having walking billboards out there.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely. Well, I wore your shirt to the Little League Central or yeah, the Central Championship game a few weeks ago. Well, actually, almost a month ago from now, and some guy goes, "Hey, Stadium Mustard, I'm from Cleveland," and we had a conversation about your mustard for about 10 minutes. So you're right.
a good buddy of mine from college was walking through the Jacksonville, Florida airport wearing his, and he had a similar type thing. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, no, no, you're right. It's like, and I'm not even from Cleveland. I'm just somebody who likes the
yeah.
mustard. So yeah, so plan works out. All right, well, Bill, thank you for coming on. I appreciate the time and best
Mark,
of luck.
yeah, thank you so much. Really do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and yeah, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, Bill Lockwood in Stadium Mustard. So look for it at a ballpark near you. If you are attending a North Woodsley game, shoot, you're going to be enjoying this mustard through Wisconsin, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Kokomo, Grand Rapids, Michigan. No, not Grand Rapids. Traverse City, Michigan, World Oak. Yeah, and he after he got off, I gave him some ideas of who to contact because there's a lot of summer collegiate leagues out there, and some are legit, some aren't, and there's definitely a few I told him like, you may want to stay away from them, but you know, kind of like them, there's their mom and pop operation, so uh, best of luck. So interesting little story because I know a few years ago I did talk to a gentleman from Bertman's Mustard, and they had a completely different version of what happened between the two. So I heard his version and I know their version, and I got an airplane flying over me now. So so it's a busy day at the airport. I mean, this is insane the amount of airplanes. I had to keep muting. Hopefully I did a good job muting. But no, stadium mustard to me tastes like a Dusseldorf mustard. And it's tangy, it's not spicy, and it blows away a yellow mustard. I was so disappointed. I remember being in Kokomo and having this mustard and like, damn, this is really good. And what I probably should have done was probably like took a bunch of the packets and put them in my bag, my pockets, and then just whip them out when I go to a ballpark. I may do that, or I may just bring a bottle of Burtman's. If you can make like a little tiny travel pack for us ballpark hunters, how about that as a sponsorship? A little travel pack we could take on the plane and we just go pa-pow, pa-pow, put on our hot dog, pa-pow, pa-pow, put it on our brat. You know what I mean? That might be a good idea. Just let's do it. Let's talk. Let's do lunch. So fun times, fun times. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode talking with Bill Lockwood, owner and janitor of Stadium Mustard and of Otis Foods. He owns Otis Food, and the Stadium Mustard is one of three brands that he owns, and it's probably my favorite brand. And get some swag. Get some swag from the website. And I like this logo. It's just a classic logo invented in 1969. It hasn't changed. If he was smart, he would take the S and he would put that on a red cap. Take the S and put it on a red cap, or combine the S and M. Ooh, S and M. Never mind. Just put just put the S. Put the S on a cap and sell it that way because that is a really funky little font there. Maybe I'll shoot him over some ideas. I got some ideas. You don't need to pay me thousands of dollars like those guys on Twitter that redesigned the Facebook logo. They do a great job though. God bless them. There was a guy redoing There's a bunch of people redoing the Chicago Bears logo, and I was like, "Come on, guys, stop. That doesn't look good." But I forget the guy's name. He's up in Minnesota. I'm fascinated by his logo designs. I mean, I'd like to get him on. Maybe that'd be a good guess for the future. Talking about a guy who creates these designs. Maybe he can do a new one, a little alternative one for me. So anyway, I'm babbling now. That means the show's over. I got another podcast to do. I'm actually doing a Stadium Journey podcast that will probably be on before this one comes on. So, guys, if you are enjoying a picnic, enjoying the last days of summer, heading out to a ballpark, heading out to a football game, it's football season, guys, and you're in Cleveland, get some stadium mustard, put it on your hot dogs, put it on your brats. What's the matter with you? And follow me, Ballpark Hunter, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I ain't calling it X, it's Twitter. Um, and follow me on Stadium Journey. Read my articles. They get paid. Every time you read my articles, I get paid. So just keep clicking. No, that doesn't work. Just read them, share them with your friends. It's not going to hurt. All right. Happy hunting, and we will see you next time. Adios.